Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the Gospel of Matthew, the Our Father is part of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus teaches the crowds about righteousness and how to live in alignment with God's kingdom. In this version, Jesus begins by warning against empty or repetitive prayers, Matthew 6:7, and then instructs them to pray in this way, focusing on God's holiness, provision, forgiveness, and protection. Matthew's version is often considered the more familiar one in Christian liturgy and private devotion. It's the version many Christians are accustomed to reciting. The Our Father prayer, or the Lord's Prayer, carries deep theological and spiritual significance. Each line invites reflection on God's nature, our relationship with Him, and our responsibilities towards others. Let's break it down. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. This opening addresses God as Father, emphasizing a personal relationship with God. The word Father reflects the closeness and intimacy of the relationship as well as God's role as a loving provider. Hallowed be thy name means to honor and revere God's name as holy. It calls for reverence and acknowledges the sanctity of God's character and presence. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. This expresses a longing for God's reign to be fully realized on earth, just as it already is in heaven. It speaks of the desire for justice, peace, and goodness in the world as it exists in God's perfect kingdom. The petition for God's will to be done is a prayer for divine guidance and surrender. It is an acknowledgement that God's will is supreme, and it reflects a desire to align one's life with God's plan. Give us this day our daily bread. This is a request for God's provision, both materially and spiritually. Daily bread refers to necessities of life, food, shelter, and other resources needed for survival. On a deeper level, it also represents spiritual sustenance. In the Gospel of John, Jesus referred to himself as the bread of life, John 6:35. So this line can be seen as asking for the nourishment of God's presence in our lives. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. This line acknowledges our need for forgiveness from God due to our human flaws and sins, trespasses. It underscores the Christian principle that forgiveness is essential, not just from God, but also towards others. The phrase, as we forgive those who trespass against us, is a call for self-examination. We are reminded that receiving forgiveness from God is tied to our willingness to forgive others, reflecting the mercy and grace that God shows to us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. This petition asks God to protect us from situations that may lead us into sin or moral failure. It is a plea for guidance, strength, and discernment in the face of temptation. Deliver us from evil. Ask God to protect us from harm, both physical and spiritual. The evil in this context can refer to the forces of sin, the influence of the devil, or any negative force that seeks to lead us astray. It is a prayer for deliverance from any kind of suffering or evil that threatens our faith. The Our Father is a model of prayer that incorporates praise, submission to God's will, a request for personal and communal needs, a call for forgiveness, and a plea for protection from evil. It balances the recognition of God's holiness with the humble request for His guidance and mercy in our daily lives. The prayer also highlights the importance of living in harmony with others, especially in the forgiveness we extend to those who wronged us. The Lord's Prayer is both a guide for personal prayer and a profound expression of Christian faith, encapsulating key aspects of Christian theology, including God's sovereignty, provision, and the call for reconciliation with others. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel. God bless you all.